Good afternoon and welcome back to Moscow. I'm Charlie Bosco. Delighted to say I've got Team New Zealand member Sam Monday alongside me, and we're live for the Youth B Bouldering. And Sam, New Zealand very well represented here, as they were in China back in May. You got 11 team members.
Yes, we do, and that's right from Youth B through to Junior, so it's good to bring someone from every category this year. And
this is your last year of youth competition. Yep. You'd never guess it, look at Sam. I know he looks like a Youth B climber, but actually a junior in his last year. But how's it been for you, your last Youth World Championship?
It's been such a good experience, you know, to pull on one last time in the youth competitions and try it out. There's lots of people watching. It's just really exciting to give it one last go before going into Opens, yeah. And
we just went down to the bouldering wall. We had a look at the Youth B boulders. Quite a varied set. There's all sorts going on.
Yep. There's awesome balancy slabs and stuff, and then there's big running, jumping moves with blocked holds. So, man, it's going to be exciting, all right?
Yeah, there's quite a few of the moves where the route setters have used blocker holds. We shall see. The athletes are currently going through their observation of the boulders. Just to let you know, by the way, Ai Mori, the Japanese climber, she was taken ill earlier in this week. She managed to compete, but she couldn't compete in the semi-finals, and obviously she can't take part in the finals, but she's flown back to Japan, so best wishes to her. Hope she gets better soon. But just going back to the competitors, we do have Sam. This is the youngest age category we see here in Moscow. This is climbers born in 2003, 2004.
Yep.
But the boulders, give us an insight of, I mean, route setters don't like to give a grade, but give us an insight to the difficulty.
I mean, going to China for the Open World Cup, some of these, especially in this competition, and here in the Youth B, some of them wouldn't look too out of place at an Open World competition in these finals, and it's, yeah, they'll be really crowd-pleasing moves, I imagine, and it looks great.
And also for people at home, what's the primary difference? So people go down the gym and they climb. What's the difference in style between what you get in a gym, for example, what you guys get in New Zealand, and these World Cup boulders?
Well, I guess these moves are really committing here. I mean, these route setters have worked for a long time to make these routes just perfect for the people competing on them. They're well thought out. And I guess they're just, yeah, they're much more aesthetic to watch as opposed to just pulling hard on not so good holds.
Yeah, we've got a huge selection of holds. We should say, actually, we didn't have quite as big a selection as we wanted. Some of the holds got caught up in the Russian customs and didn't make it here to Moscow. So Jackie Godoff and his team, who've set the boulders, 18 rounds, I think, in a total of 92 boulders, done a pretty sterling job. And hopefully we'll head down to the wall in just a second. Athlete observation is underway. As ever, the climbers have a look at all 4 boulders en masse, and they get 2 minutes to look at each one. Once the climbing begins, they get 4 minutes to attempt each one. And going back to New Zealand, give us a bit of an insight. What's the competition level like back in NZ? Because you guys are increasingly prominent in the World Cups.
Well, so I guess we're starting to really push it, attending more and set more like world competitions. Because in New Zealand, I think our biggest category at times would have 20 people in them, and that
so it's like a World Cup semi.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. So open males, and that's the amount of climbers maybe here in New Zealand, sorry, and each category here is probably the amount of competitors in New Zealand at a competition, so it's crazy, and we're still quite old school in our way of setting, but I think we're really starting to work on pushing hard to get better at that.
And it sounds like, I was chatting to your coach, Rob Moore, it sounds like you guys have really got a vision for the future now. Yep. New Zealand climbing is really on the up.
Yeah, Rob's incredible. He's really come back in with a bang, and we're getting a speed wall, and we are going to be at a competitive level within the next 5 years.
And is there a specific goal in mind? Do you know where climbing is going in New Zealand?
Well, to actually start setting in the style that these world competitions are is our first one, clearly. But once we have the speedball, I definitely believe we'll be able to... I mean, we can get under 11 seconds, and we've been training for a week on speed, so I think we'll be able to easily make semi-finals once we have that wall up, and when we start training in a World Cup style, we will be making semis. And within 3 years, I think that would be our goal.
Making World Cup semis?
Definitely.
That would be amazing, but New Zealand, one of my favourite countries. I lived in New Zealand for a year.
My favourite country.
Any danger of us seeing a World Cup there?
Come on, someone asked that today. It'd be a few years away, I imagine, but we're starting to get some better boulder gyms, so I'd love to see that, though. I would really love to see that.
Okay, well, hopefully we can get down to the wall. I believe the climbers are doing their observation now, and we'll try and have a look at them. As I say, they get 2 minutes to look at all 4 of the boulders. And there are the boulders. An observation already concluded. There is our start list. This is on the women's side. As I mentioned, Ai Mori, she qualified first for the semi-final but wasn't able to take part. And she has flown back to Japan. Two of her compatriots into the final, though, Hana Kudo and Natsuki Tanu, who will be coming out last. Suzong Chang of China, Indiana Chapman, Nai Menyon, Elena Matiak, Ia Bluchkina, the rest of the finalists. And on the men's side, Anthony Lessig, Thomas Podlan, Kentaro Maeda, Paul Jemvd, Raiko Amata and Ryo A. Nakui, excuse me, the 6 finalists. We had the semi-finals for these climbers yesterday, 24 hours ago, and we await the final, and the crowd is just beginning to make their way over now. As you walk into the arena here in the Dinamo area of Moscow, as we see Colin Duffy closest to the camera.
Just missed out on semis.
Yeah, being encouraged to wave. Yeah, he did. Ended up 7th yesterday. Man. And as you walk into the arena here in Moscow, don't know who that one's meant for. Lucky lady. This bouldering wall where all the finals take place is over to the left. If you walk in and turn right, you get to the wall where we had yesterday's semi-final. It's also where the World Cup took place back in April. So, and it's also where the lead wall is. So a lot of the competitors, coaches, spectators and family are still over on the right-hand side of the venue, and they gradually make their way back left once this final gets underway. What's isolation like here in Moscow?
It's actually really fancy. Like, I remember we were training on the weekend before the competition, and we thought, man, you know, this place isn't quite ready. And then 3 days later, they've got 2 purpose-built warm-up boulder walls that are World class boulder walls. They've got butlers in isolation. They've got a buffet, and they've got people bringing in food. I mean,
where's the butler service and the buffet? I haven't seen this.
I'm serious though. They've got like a table full of like pastries and chocolate and stuff, and so of course competitors aren't eating them so much, but the coaches are enjoying it. And yeah, they're just bringing in platters of food. It's really, really nice.
I've been schlepping back to our hotel every lunchtime. Little did I know, if I could just get an isolation pass.
Yeah, man.
Next time.
I want to go in there for lunch.
Next time. So, yeah, we're just awaiting the 6 men and 6 women. Unlike the World Cups this year in 2018, the finals will be running concurrently. So we won't have men followed by women or vice versa. We will just have men and women running at the same time. And there you can see it, 9th to the 16th of August. It's been a festival of climbing. We've got a lot more to come in Innsbruck in September. So out come the first 2 climbers, Hana Kudo and Anthony Lessig of the USA. Could have been so different for the USA. They had climbers in 7th and 8th as well. Xander Waller and Colin Duffy narrowly missing out. They nearly had 3 into the men's final. As it is, they have to settle for 1. Japan could well have had another woman through had Ai Mori not contracted her suckness bug. And we're underway. And powerful start for both the men and the women. On the men's route, moving off the zone, there is a move which the climbers may or may not spot, we'll see, which involves the most horrific kind of drop knee bar.
Oh man, it looks dangerous.
It does, it does. And on the women's route, they've got 2 choices, whether they go left or right. And you can see Hannah's headed out immediately to the right onto those black volumes.
Likely the easier way.
Yeah, going back left is said to be harder, but possible if you prefer it. So Anthony Lessig, no problem up to the zone. Yeah, so what the route setters have got in mind now is that you get your left foot, the bottom of your left foot, on that hold there that he's got his left hand on, and then drop your left knee and put it on top of the zone so that you basically the lower half of your leg is pointing downhill.
Looked like he was about to go for it.
Yeah, I wonder if any of the competitors will spot it because you
think it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you do need to free up your left hand somehow, and you can see he's struggling to find it.
Yeah, so he's trying to get a heel out on that grey box there. It probably wasn't so good to crank up off of. Just get it on.
Hannah looking pretty close here on women's 1. And This could be an early and pretty easy top, and there it is. So good start for Team Japan. We seem to say that pretty often. And Anthony Lessig finds himself out alone on the mats. So Anthony Lessig here on men's one. We'll try and get a clock for you. I'm not entirely sure where that's gone. Pulls on for another attempt. So he's been up to the zone once. Needs to try and somehow turn that into a top. Will he find this deeply unpleasant looking move involving the kind of drop knee bar? So as I say, he wants to get the underside of his left foot where his left hand is and then drop his left knee to where his right foot currently is. It will make sense, I hope, if someone actually does it. Problem is, he's got to have his left hand where his right hand is. If he can manage some sort of a hand swap, he'll be okay. I'm pretty sure he won't be able to cross through and dyno for the top. He will have to get his left hand there. Yeah, pretty brutal start for the men. See him look at the top, wondering if he could jump for it. Never want to say it's impossible, but it's pretty close.
Thank you very much.
And he decides against another go.
Zone, but no top.
Yeah, so zone for him and a top on women's one for Hannah. Next climbers out, Yu Tongsang of China and Thomas Podelan of Austria. Thomas Podelan was wearing a very fetching kind of a hair clip yesterday.
Was that the pink bow?
In the red and white colours of Austria.
Oh no, sorry. Whoops.
Let's see. Yeah, let's see if he goes for it today. It was an unusual look.
China. And Thomas Podelan, Austria.
Here he comes, Thomas Podelan of Austria.
Come on, keep going.
And there it is. Is it a bow?
It is a bow. Very nice bow.
God, I thought it was a hair clip. Okay, well, it's certainly distinctive. It means we should be able to spot him.
Austrian flag, yeah.
So he's underway on the men's one. Yu Tongsang underway on women's one. Apologies for the lack of a clock. I think I'm going to take matters into my own hand and start the clock on my phone. So women's one already had a top, but nothing yet on men's one other than the zone, which Thomas Podelan also has. Will he spot the method? He's quite a creative climber.
Oh, nearly there.
So he's got part of it. He's got the right idea with jamming his left. He's trying his left foot. Ideally, you want to jam your whole lower leg in there. So I think he could be in the same position Anthony Lessig found himself in, where he can get to the penultimate hole, but with the wrong hand. He's got to somehow get there with the left. Yeah, again, he finds himself, like Anthony Lessig did, right hand on that red hold.
He's got to find a way to switch his hands around now. Overly, there we go.
So it's a variant on the knee bar, and it certainly looked like it had a bit of promise, that method.
Yutong's going to try for the zone again. She just tackled it last time.
Again, she's going out right. I have to say the obvious way to go on this boulder is right, but there is the option to go left if for whatever reason you just didn't quite like the method. Powerful start for both the men and the women though. If you're just tuning in, Charlie Bosco and Sam Monday here live from the Dynamo part of Moscow, 3 kilometers northwest of Red Square. Youth B Bouldering final.
Looks like she's having some trouble standing up on that. She's kind of pinched herself on top of that blue start hold.
Yeah, it's one of those positions where it's quite comfortable to be in that position.
Yeah, but it's hard to pull out of it.
But hard to pull out of it, exactly. She needs to get herself extracted from there, really, before she tries for the zone. The zone's a reasonably good hold. You can't grab it from the position she's in. So Thomas Podland now is underway on his next attempt. No problems up to the zone. Trying this kind of foot wedge method.
You do need your foot up high for that, so maybe they will be able to find a way out to break the beta.
Yeah, you can see what he's thinking here. Oh, it's pretty close.
So close.
If he can jab a right foot up and simultaneously have his left foot where his left hand is, he might stand a chance with that method. Yeah, nobody yet has seen the method that the route setters say is kind of this hidden method that suddenly makes the move much easier. And Yutong Sang is safely up to the zone.
She's got her feet underneath, but this time she's not wedged in there.
She's now got to try and slap out to the left. Top of the zone is, I wouldn't say better than the inside, but at least different. And it changes as good as the rest, they say. And this final move, once you get those two screw-ons and get the thumb catch with the left hand, should be pretty straightforward, and so it proves. So 2 tops on the first 2 climbers on women's 1. And that is time up. She timed it pretty well. So as I say, I'm going to start my own clock for the next climbers out. Next climbers out will be Indiana Chapman and Kentaro Maeda of Japan. Indiana Chapman is a climber you know reasonably well.
Oh, I don't know her personally, but I've seen her in climbing competitions before, yes.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah, she is. She's a great climber.
And the only Canadian representative today. They've had a few good results here in Moscow.
Good to see them making finals.
So it's his Kentaro Maeda, and the time starts now.
Japan always seems to have new superstars coming out making finals.
Yeah, their talent factory is just mind-blowing.
Dime a dozen.
So Indiana starts ditto Kentaro. This is the first attempt for both climbers. So no tops on men's 1. Both climbers so far have had a zone. Both climbers so far have topped number 1. And I'm sure I saw a clock briefly then. It's out there somewhere. Just keep staring at the top right hand side of your screen. Hopefully it'll come back. Kentaro now heading out for the zone as we just cut back to see Indiana Chapman falling. I think she'd already got the zone by that stage. Japanese climbers often able to kind of think outside the box, and it looked like that he was doing.
There we go, nearly.
He's definitely got the right idea. All you got to do is put your foot above your head, twist your knee, so
upside down.
Yeah, twist your knee so it's in front of your mouth, and then you're good to go.
It's the hold just before the top. No one's properly stuck that yet.
No one's stuck it with the left hand as well, crucially. I think that's, although we've seen both climbers so far touching that top hold. There's the clock, welcome back clock. Although we've seen both climbers have that hold with their right hand, he's the first climber to really get it with the left.
And that's what you need going for that last hold.
I'm surprised, I have to say, from below it looks like once the left hand was there, the top should be a relatively straightforward move. Surprised to see him drop it, but he's got time for another go.
It looks rather taxing that.
Come on, super.
On Indiana. Seen this way before. Nice knee bar in there.
Yeah, she's using her feet intelligently, both right and left. She's using the right for a knee bar, left for a toe hook. Now she turns them both into knee bars. Again, one thing getting into that position, and as you've just seen, it's another to get out of it.
She needs to be just a bit more stable to stop herself from swinging out going for that zone.
So just over a minute and a half remaining for these climbers. This is the Youth B final. This is our last bouldering action. Doesn't really feel like we've had 3 semi-finals and 2 finals. It seems to have disappeared somewhat, but believe it or not, this is the end of the bouldering programme. So, Kentaro, he's got the left hand in place. It's a pretty poor hold, but it is a positive crimp. He's got the top with one hand. Certainly looks like he can do it. Interestingly, he doesn't seem to want to put his feet out to the right.
Yeah, I think you'd have to really rock over your right foot to do that. It might be better to get into a diagonal twist up to the top.
Yeah, it is. That section of the wall is quite steep. From the angle we're looking at it from our cameras, it looks like the right foot should just go straight underneath. But as you say, perhaps it's
overhanging.
It's perhaps not as much use as it appears from head on. So Indiana Chapman, she could do with finding a top here because both climbers so far have, and she's just struggling to stay in that zone. We saw Yutong Tang slapping up to the top of the zone instead of trying to stay in the middle section of it. Kentaro pretty relaxed through that lower section. He's got these moves sorted. What position will he try and find? This is going to be his last attempt. So we're about to see a top of men's 1. Again, he's able to slap it, but he's not able to control it.
Might almost need a right foot down just on that hold just below so we can twist in further, but no chance of that. Time's up. Nice try.
This was a replay of him lower down. Quick recap of his one of his attempts. I think this was the last one, judging by the smoothness. And he knew what he wanted to do. He could see the top. Couldn't quite bring it home. So Kentaro doesn't get number 1 done. Apologies for the beeping. That was my homemade clock going off.
I think we've got it sorted now.
Yeah, we got the clock back. Welcome back, clock. Always a pleasure to have you. And Nai Mignon, the next climber out, and Paul Gempt of also France. So 2 French climbers coming out now. Women's 1's been topped by 2 out of 3 climbers. Men's 1 not had a top yet. Paul had a really good day in the semis yesterday. Guaranteed himself a place in the final with 1 boulder to spare.
Commentators trying to get the crowd into it.
Working hard as ever, the venue MCs have had a pretty frantic week. So Paul and Nai both off to decent starts, and Nai got herself slightly jammed in. We saw this with Yutong Tang earlier on, that if you get crammed in, it's hard to get out, but she does really, really well to escape from the position she got herself into. Now heading out left again.
Just needs to pull in a bit higher, get the weight up on her feet for that move
there. Pulls back on to men's 1. He's heading up towards the zone. Not this time. Both climbers back down on the mats. We've got 2.5 minutes left. When you're training, do you tend to, are you a fan of training with the clock?
with the clock. Sometimes we simulate competitions, but I haven't done it so much. But I think it is useful to do so you can learn how to manage your time better, you know.
It was funny. We went to film with Alexei Rubtsov in his gym in Moscow earlier in the week. Never a man short. Yeah, Climbing Tokyo. It's a brilliant gym. And never a man short of opinions. I said, "Oh, do you not have a clock on the wall like the Japanese?" And he was like, he said, "Yeah, I get enough of the clock in the World Cup. I don't need it when I'm training." I was laughing.
Fair enough.
I knew he'd have an opinion.
He's had some interesting interviews, so it's good.
Yeah, it's great. Fair to say he's not ambivalent about many topics. So Paul Gempt now getting himself up to the zone. We've seen climbing
some different beta.
Yeah, I think
Could be a knee bar.
if the top hold was directly above the zone, it'd be no problem to top. The problem is you've got to get your left hand onto that red crimp.
Good flexibility there.
Yeah, Nai Mignon is safely up to the top, so that's 3 out of 4 climbers who've got the top. She will head back in. job done. Paul Gemp finds himself alone on the mats here in Moscow, 1 minute to go. You can see the speed wall out to the right. I recommend you go back and watch the replay of the speed finals we had here. 3 cracking finals, South Korea winning their first and second ever speed climbing gold medals. And Paul will have
One more attempt.
yeah, almost certainly just one more attempt.
Come on, Paul, let's do it.
So he's got no problems up to the zone. He's a bit taller, so I can't help thinking these moves will actually be a bit trickier for him. Got to
Really have to. His knee doesn't look like it quite fits between those two holds going up for that red hold there.
yeah, he's
Yeah, see, it's scraping his calf.
when you're taller like that, it just means there's a little more limb to fit into the same space. I think he might be closest to having that method though.
Use that lower, that hold just lower.
Yeah, and sadly he's going to be timed out. It's a shame for him. If he'd had a little more time, might
He
be
was
able
looking
to.
almost quite comfortable on that.
Yeah, he might have been able to jimmy himself into a bit of a better position.
I think that might be it though, using that hold just below the zone hold for a right foot going for that last move. Everyone so far has used their left foot on it when they're up there and they're doing an inline. They don't quite have their hips in close enough to the wall.
This is a replay of Paul. You can almost see the cogs turning in his head, trying to figure this one out. Tried several different methods. That's the advantage and disadvantage of being tall in a nutshell. It's hard to get your foot up, but once it was there, he was able to generate a tiny bit more leverage off it by pushing off that hold to the left. And Ray Kawamata, so busy looking at the boulder that he clobbered his head as he ran out onto the stage. Elena Matiak-Iabluchkina is the next female climber out. My sessions of practicing the names now paying dividends in a big way. Elena Matiak-Iabluchkina.
Iabluchkina. Oh dear.
So Ray Kawamata, no problem up to the zone, and no problem up with the left hand. Just campused it.
No, carry on.
Well, I was going to say, power's not a bad thing to have in excess, is it?
Never too much power.
We've seen a lot of climbers jimmying around, trying to fit themselves into that space, and Ray Kawamata choosing just to skip out the whole affair.
I think you will really need that right foot to drive off for that last move though.
So there he goes,
Cruising
underway.
through those moves. Calm and composed.
Very
Trying
calm.
to figure out a different way to do it.
Well, that time he did at least use a heel to make everyone feel a bit better. But you can see it's not a great hold, that red hold. Route setters will be hoping someone tops this. Never like to see a boulder go untopped.
Lena secures the zone.
This has been topped by 3 out of the 4 climbers who've already finished their rotation. Elena is the 5th out. Got flashed by Hana Kudo. Nai Menyong got it good on second go, and Yutong Zhang got it on her 4th go. Haven't been counting the attempts. Elena's found the top, and when the scores come through, I'll confirm how many attempts it took her.
Not too difficult from the zone up to the top.
No, climbers generally been, once they get on top of the zone particularly, been finding a way. Ray Kawamata now, back out to the zone. I've got to say, I thought he was going to flash the boulder the first time he walked
looking
out.
weightless.
Yeah, he did, exactly.
There we go. There's the knee bar.
There is the knee bar. He hasn't got it quite as it was described to us, but it's pretty close. This is the closest we've seen from Ray Kawamata, and that's the first top on men's 1. So already he takes control of the final at this very early stage. Pressure now on Ryoe Nakui. He'll be well aware what's happened because he's coming out a minute early. It's not like the semi-finals where they have a set rotation. If both male and female climbers are finished, then the next climbers make their way out. So this was, I think, this must have been Elena. This must have been Ryaway's failed attempt and Elena heading up to the zone. And then, is this Ray's successful attempt? No, I think this was another unsuccessful one.
Some awesome grip strength going for that last hold, compressing between that red and the top.
Elena looking pretty smooth up to the top there. So interestingly enough, Indiana Chapman didn't get the top, but she did get the zone. Most of the climb, everyone else that's got to the zone has then progressed on to the top. And that was Ray Kawamata. Finding a top on men's one, I would imagine much to the relief of the route setting team. Massive challenge for the route setting team as ever, but doubly so with youth climbers because they don't get to see them week in, week out. At least with the World Cup competitors, they can watch the live streams. They might have set at multiple World Cups in recent years.
And you have to set 3 times as many climbs.
Well, you've got to set 3 times as many climbs, yeah, exactly. And you don't know the level. You don't know how strong or otherwise these climbers are. So it's a very, very difficult task, and that's exactly how the route setters reckon the move should be done.
This could be a flash.
Could be a flash from Ryaway Nakui. He's lining it up. There is the top. Less than 40 seconds required.
Absolutely cruised it.
Yeah, for Ryaway Nakui to find the top on a boulder that for the first 4 climbers looked the living end, and he's flashed it in, I think it was 38 seconds. This is a replay. The clock is live, the pictures aren't. There we go, flash from him, so he'll take control of the final. Rai Kawamata had control of the final for about a minute. Now it's Ryaway Nakui who's got it. So already the 2 Japanese climbers on the men's side separating themselves somewhat from the field. And Natsuki Tani,
flash,
champion from Innsbruck, well on her way here on women's 1.
I think there was 2 flashes from the Japanese just there.
Yes, Hana Kudo and Natsuki Tani.
Awesome.
Hana out first, Natsuki out last, and they both flashed it. So 5 out of 6 climbers getting the job done on number 1. Indiana Chapman, she's got some ground to make up, but still 3 boulders to come, and there's the scores as they stand. Japan 1, 2 and 3 on the men's side. Thomas Podolán, Porgemt and Anthony Lessig. The rest of the top 6 as it stands. Remember, if the scores are level, then it comes back to, at the end of the competition, comes back to count back to the semi-final result.
All the Japanese athletes in 1st, 2nd, 3rd in both their categories. Well, not 3rd in females, but still got a long way to go in this competition.
Yeah, it's a long way to go, but already Japan looking immensely strong. People are talking already about the Olympics, obviously, but you have to say, if Japan don't dominate the Tokyo Olympics, if climbing then goes to the next Olympics in 24, surely they'll dominate there, because they just, Youth B, Youth A, they just seem to have an endless factory of incredibly strong climbers. And here, Hana Kudo bowing to the crowd and the judges. And they've got a big jump on
awesome.
women's 2, and she's got it first go.
Wow. Take some time to recompose herself before moving on to that Gaston on the next move, next volume.
Men's 2, by contrast, we'll have to talk about men's 2 in just a second. Now, this women's 2, these holds, I really can't explain how minute they are. That one's kind of a 2-finger crimp. I thought this boulder might take a few attempts. It's going to take a couple more, at least one more, for Hana Kudo. The top hold's pretty good, but it's just blocked off by another one above it. So first look now at men's 2. They've also got a kind of a jump, slightly parkour style start, but their hold that they're aiming for is blocked off.
Blocked, yeah.
Yeah, it's blocked off by 2 red holds. We might get a close-up a bit later on.
So close on her flash attempt just there.
Yeah, there you can see it. Anthony Lessig is getting to it consistently, but it's blocked off by those 2 red holds, so you've got to be really accurate.
I think if he can be accurate with his hand and land his foot up on that feature in the overhang, he may well have that.
So she's got the jump, no problem with both attempts. She's got the jump seemingly pretty easily, and then she'll move right onto the volume here. And these are just minute holds. They're kind of 1 or 2 digit crimps. That one there that she's got her right hand on is, believe it or not, the best hold in this sequence. And then she's got to be accurate up to the top. The top hold is blocked. You can see it. She just slightly went past it. You've got to be super accurate because it's quite committing. You're going off a very poor right hand. And there's no way to come back if you miss that top hold.
Yep, little fingers will be a very good advantage on that boulder.
1 minute 40 left for these climbers. Hannah Kudo lining it up.
Don't think he has his feet quite right on that sequence just there, because you're wanting to catch that hold that you're running to and then swinging your feet back in to stabilize yourself on the wall.
So Hannah, these attempts are really reasonably time consuming, and the holds are so small that you kind of need just a bit of recovery time just to stretch your fingers out again. There's a series of 4 crimps which are absolutely minute. There is also a foothold just on the bottom right about 5 o'clock. If that sign, there it is. It's very hard to see from here. It's the same colour as the wall behind it, but there is a tiny screw on hold. And this time the left foot pops. I think she'll have time for another go. Anthony Lessick obviously got the jump done this time. He's safely up to the zone. And a few methods of doing this boulder. This looks a pretty handy one, and it's led to a top. So he finds his first top of the final. This final really beginning to take shape now. Hannah Kudo flashed boulder 1. She flashed the zone on boulder 2. And that was a replay, I think, of the jump. Here's another look at it. Interesting, didn't choose to put her right foot down on the jump, confident enough just to go on the left. This was Anthony Lessick topping out.
If she could just pull off that last move, she came so close on all those attempts.
And we didn't see, I don't think she will have topped that. I'm up half listening to the venue MC, and there didn't seem to be any noticeable big cheer, so I think you'd have to assume she didn't get that one done. Shame really, because I think the best attempt was probably the first one. But you can see there, women's 2 just immediately left of the door that the climbers emerge out of, and that top hold is good, but you've got the big semicircular hold just above it to block it off, meaning you've got to be super accurate.
Some nice dancing down the front there. People like it when the camera's on them.
Is that an NZL?
It sure is.
Every time the camera pans, we find some
goodness.
Kiwis down the front.
Yep, we really enjoy that. Even one of the dads joining in just there with the dancing.
Bit of dad dancing.
Yeah, dad dancing.
My wedding speciality. Yutong Tsang now, next climber to try a luck on women's 2. Thomas Podlan of Austria on men's 2. There he is. Obviously didn't feel the brushes had done a good enough job while he was backstage.
They've been working really hard this competition. They're actually really onto it, honestly, the brushes.
Apparently there's 100 volunteers here.
Far out.
Thomas Podlan, no problem with the jump. Could see a flash here. We haven't been watching him throughout, but this is surely his first attempt. 3:15 on the clock.
Just deciding how he wants to tackle this move just here. This is how I read it. That you might match on this hold, possibly? Yes.
It's dual texture, that hold he's holding, so there's only quite a specific part of it that's good, but luckily it is the top part. Now, has he got himself a bit tied up here because he needs to free up his right hand? Yeah, I think that was his thought process as well. Could do with getting that right foot a bit better position so he can really rock onto it. We'll watch both climbers simultaneously briefly, and then we see Thomas Podlan get the top.
Good work.
Yeah, almost certainly
impressive.
A flash. You can see here with Yutong Tsang, if you don't have the finger strength, there's not a lot you can do on those moves. There's no way around them, really.
Her fingers are taped up as well. She might have been having some issues with them, so it's a bit of a shame.
2 minutes 20 to go. Charlie Bosco and Team New Zealand Sam Monday alongside me. Very special guest in the commentary box on his last year as a youth competitor.
The specialist of guests.
Getting on now, man.
I know, right? Won't be able to do the we've got a few more competitions back home this year in the national circuit, but after that it's all open.
So Yutong Sang now. Again, trying to slap out right.
She's having some trouble getting past that zone hold.
Yeah, it's interesting. Hannah Kudo looked so solid on those moves. It was really only the last move that seemed to cause her any problems. So Yutong, she's definitely got no problem at all with the jump. She's a little more accurate this time.
Almost seems like she just can't quite full crimp that green Gaston just there.
Yeah, you mentioned about the tape fingers. I wonder if she doesn't seem to want to fully commit to it.
It's frustrating having a finger injury like that.
I should say, by the way, I did try to find out about this, but there's a bit of a language barrier. A lot of the Chinese team wasn't able to find their English speakers, sadly, but she does seem to be struggling slightly with it, particularly on the right hand. Yeah, and you can see she's just not quite closing that crimp fully.
Oh, she nearly had it that time. It was the closest attempt, I think.
I think with 30 seconds to go, she might call that a day. She does. She's got the zone. Got the zone on her first go.
Man, some of these holds is just making my hands sweat. I want to pull onto these. Oh, they look delicious.
I'm pretty sure that's the first time I've heard that adjective used with a climbing hold.
Really?
There could be a first.
I think that's a New Zealand thing then.
Well, speaking of delicious, there's an ice cream volume coming up later in the round.
Oh yeah, the cornucopia. Ice cream cone. That one looks good.
Yeah, you mentioned the brushes.
Mouth watering.
And there it is, just right of centre on the left-hand wall, that yellow one. There's two actually, one above
Purple,
it.
yeah.
That's men's 4, right at the end of the round. So Indiana Chapman now. The door's been slightly open for her. When the only climber not to tip the first boulder, it does put a bit of pressure on. But neither of the first two climbers out have topped this boulder too, so if she can find a way, she'll have herself back on level terms. Remember, we now have a scoring system where the most important way to separate the climbers is who tops the most boulders. The next way of separating the climbers, if they're tied, is then who got the most zones before we start talking about attempts to top or attempts to zone. So zones much more important in the scoring system than the old bonuses used to be.
Indiana didn't quite commit to that move fully there and just missed that bonus. Zone, oh dear.
Call it the bone.
The bone. Getting closer.
Yeah, she's definitely closer at that time. It's our first chance to look at Kentaro Maeda of Japan.
Again, yeah, you really have to commit to these moves. There's no cruising through them. You have to apply yourself to them and then maybe you get a rest and a chalk up after you've hit them. Just cool little Canadian maple leaves on her shoulders.
Yeah, pretty nice, eh? We've seen Jane Kim goes for the old tattoo or temporary tattoo. Seen a few variants of this. Miho Nanaka, where these kind of tattooed sleeves.
They've got the Red Bull tattoos, don't they?
They do.
Temporary ones. Here's a new way. This is how I read it. I thought people could pull up into the top and stand up and walk across to the top hold. Maybe not quite.
Well, it'd be interesting to see. I mean, the only thing to bear in mind is that left-hand panel, the green one, is quite overhanging.
It is overhanging, so you'd have to have quite a bit of hip flexibility to push yourself really close into the wall.
I see where you're going with that one, though.
Yeah.
So this is looking pretty hopeful from Kentaro. Both climbers so far out, Anthony Lessig and Thomas Podland, have topped this one. And so has Kentaro.
And he's got it.
Yeah, half his time remaining. Nice work.
It's nice having a longer rest when you've got this, you know, especially in 5 minutes on, 5 minutes off in the qualifying rounds. If you can get that boulder done, it really, really helps having that bigger rest in between boulders.
What do you generally do during that rest period? Do you kind of stretch? Do you just literally sit down?
I think everyone may be different, honestly, but I personally like to have a really structured 5 minutes so I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm still focused, present in the moment, don't let my mind wander too far. First off, relax, you know, and take my shoes off because you don't want to keep your shoes on the whole time, really, I guess.
But you have a pretty set routine.
Yeah, definitely. I use the same one every time.
What is that?
Oh, it's a bit of a secret, but I get
right.
some of it.
It's okay, you don't need to give it away.
Awesome, good.
Yeah, good work from Indiana Chapman.
She's going the same way again. It's a nice hand wrap up on that volume. It looks really bomber.
So yeah, I can see what you're thinking about the standing up method. None of the route setting team mentioned it, but you wonder, will someone try something?
I said that to them and they were just like, no.
And then suddenly panicked a bit when they thought, oh, we didn't think of that. This was Indiana Chapman's last attempt. So she found that tiny black right foothold. It would be possible to miss that, I have to say. And with that tiny crimp, you've just got to be super accurate because it is so small. And she's just missing the jump now, and I think she'll call...
Looking a bit puffed.
Yeah, she'll call that a day with 20 seconds to go. Nai Mignon and Paul Gemft out next into the Youth B Bouldering final, and this end of the arena beginning to fill up nicely as people make their way from the lead qualifying wall, where we had a lot of action this morning. Once again, Team New Zealand dominating the crowd cam.
Might not be in the finals, but we're certainly all over the screen. Is one of our assistant coaches having a little boogie. Coach has actually been really entertaining on this trip, doing quadrupedal movement up and down the plane aisles. It's been really exciting. Animal crawling and having a plane full of Russians stare at you like you're crazy is fun.
It's a long journey for you guys up here.
Oh yeah.
Nai Mignon and Paul Gemft now. Yeah, two European climbers.
Both good jumps on these routes. 2 jumps at the same time.
Yeah, quite. It's nice when you have kind of similar styles for both the men and the women at the same time. So you don't get a change in tempo, if you like. Nai Mignon, no problem at all. Pretty sure that was her first go. So this is a flash.
There we
attempt.
go. Hand wrap. I really think makes it quite a bit easier going that way.
I have to say, your method about standing up looks...
Oh, she looks like she might do it. She can just get her right hand up, get her feet up as well. She should be able to press out to the top, honestly.
I think
you need some flexibility.
I think the crux could also be getting enough off that right hand. You kind of have to palm off it. She's
really thinking about it.
Great minds clearly think alike, though. Paul Gemft now is getting pretty close on the men's one.
Reels in on those crimps.
This will either be his first or his second go, confirm in just a second, but either way it's looking pretty hopeful. This boulder's been topped by all 3 climbers so far, make that 4 out of 4.
Good work, Paul. Good stuff, man. She's opted for the other way.
That was the top from Paul.
How flexible do you think the route setters are, or the forerunners?
Probably less flexible than Youth B climbers.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking though. There's probably different ways people can twist themselves, because I imagine they'd be very strong when they're building these, but if you could figure out ways to twist your body around with open hips and get your knee into places, man, it could really help you out. Avoid doing things the burly way, you know?
Yeah, I think... I mentioned earlier how challenging route setting for youth climbers is because simply you don't know the level, but also youth climbers are just physically so different from route climbers. Route setters. Route setters are late 20s, 30s. I mean, Jackie Godoff is...
late 20s?
Jackie Godoff, the chief boulder setter, would be fair to say is well past his early 30s. It's okay, Jackie, I won't reveal the true number, but suffice to say, it doesn't begin with a 4 or 5 either, and it's the flexibility and just the physical difference between the route setters and the climbers is so pronounced. that there is always a risk that the climbers would just think of some method that the route setters just hadn't even dawned on them.
Certainly the way in New Zealand can often find a good place to do the splits.
So this looks pretty hopeful for Nai Mignon. We've seen climbers get this far before. Can she be accurate on the top? Yes, she can. Top from Nai Mignon. She finds the top with a minute to go. Brilliant work from her. She becomes the first climber to get that one done. The two Japanese climbers.
I was nearly out of my seat just then.
Two Japanese climbers got the first one done. Nai Mignon gets this one done. Head just rocked back as she went with that left hand. You could tell that was pretty close to the limit, but once she got it solidified half a second later, it was easy enough for the right hand to join it.
There's Henry down the front. What a child. Yeah, one of the venue MCs like to cheer in the competitors' home language. I've heard a few Viva la France whilst competitors are climbing.
Yeah, we get plenty of Gamba Gambas for Team Japan.
Die, die, die.
Yeah, that one always sounds a bit rough to me.
It does, doesn't it? When I first heard people saying that, I was like, far out, man. That's not too positive, is it?
So, Elena Matiak-Iabluchkina makes her way onto the stage. Ray Kawamata makes his way onto the stage. Four minutes starts again. Elena got the first boulder done on her second go, and Ray Kawamata got the first boulder done on his third go. He's one of only two climbers, him and his compatriot Raiwe Nakui, who got that first one done, so they could both make it two tops.
She commits properly on that go. Good, sticks that zone. That is the zone. Yes, that's the zone.
It is the zone, yeah, the whole volume, including the attached green volume, are
nice
all the
hand
zone.
wrap.
She's a bit taller, so I think your hopes of seeing your standing up method might not be realised this time.
That's true. If you're tall though, you need to be quite flexible sometimes to utilise it.
So now she spots a tiny foothold.
Certainly got that crimp strength.
Yeah, no, I was about to say no problems with the crimp strength. Just got popped off as she rocked up with the right hand. So Ray Kawamata now, as I mentioned, looking to become the first male climber with two tops. Raiwe Nakui, who's out next, could join him if Ray was to do this.
I think he's got this now.
I think he probably has. He looks so relaxed on the first boulder. Almost too relaxed on the second one. Don't forget to match. I think
don't celebrate before topping.
Every climber before every round should watch the replay of Manuel Corner.
I remember watching that live and you mentioned that. I was just like, oh dear.
Yeah. And the worst part was he had a leopard haircut. You know, if you're going to have a leopard haircut,
you got to commit fully to things. You need to do things properly if you're making yourself stand out.
Yeah, you gotta be cool, not just look cool. If you're,
I think it cost him a podium as well doing that.
It was massive, yeah, and it's happened once since. I'm trying to think of the occasion, but yeah, don't celebrate too early.
Nice, Elena. Let's do it.
I always think Shauna Cox is the example of that. She always matches a hold, turns and looks at the judge, and then, hey, celebrate all you want. It's a risky business.
Yeah, you can pull onto the top of the wall and have a good,
Elena just struggling through this crimp section here. See, being a bit taller actually makes it a bit harder. Those crimps are a bit closer, and it just means you're a bit more squashed
climbing more
in.
locked off, and it would be quite taxing doing those, minging down on those. They are really tiny.
It looks like she's slightly running out of energy on
Puffed
the jump
out.
now. Yeah.
It does look really physical, this boulder pulling through that section of crimps.
I think as well, we mentioned about her being taller. When you compress like that, it probably doesn't look as tiring as some moves, but it's kind of all body tiring. It's like, I don't know, holding a heavy bag of corn, like a bag of concrete.
Yeah, wrestling a fridge.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly. It's like trying to get a fridge out. It might not look super hard, but your whole body is engaged.
can confirm that. Awesome, there we go, good flexibility. Oh, so close.
So no top for Elena. Yeah, if you want any fridges moving in the Mount Maunganui area of New Zealand, Sam's your man.
Yep, hit me up. Always looking for extra work. Got to fund the climbing lifestyle. Could be a fridge mover.
Got the build for it. Natsuki Tani will be the final female climber out. Her compatriot Raiway Nakui will be on men's one. There's Nakaya Sanders of the USA. Didn't miss out by much on the final.
I was watching her climb, it was quite impressive.
Yeah, she was close. Got pretty tight towards the end of that semi-final
Nice
yesterday.
shades.
Yeah, I know. I got to say, the lights in this arena are the brightest of any arena I've ever been in.
Especially when they're flashing on you when you top.
So Natsuki Tani is ready to go. Raiway Nakui. Oh, I thought he was
That was pretty close.
Yeah, I thought he was going to get that jump first time.
Love to watch these jumps in slow motion, it looks so epic.
Yeah, and again, interesting, Natsuki Tani putting the left foot but not bringing the right foot down. Looked like she could have used a bit of extra spring on that one, actually.
I think you need to go for that hold with two hands as well if you're going to stick it.
Yeah, for sure. Let's have a look. So will she go left foot, right foot? Left. Yeah, she's not getting enough spring off just the left foot alone.
You might want to do a little bunny hop at the end.
So neither climber flashing their boulder. Nai Mignon, the only climber with two tops so far. Natsuki Tani could join her if she can find a way on women's 2.
Had the right idea there, landing that foot up on that higher feature.
Yeah, he's almost coming at it with too much speed.
Yeah. Bit too eager. I thought you could possibly do this boulder statically if you land in the middle of that pink feature, or more static at least. There we go.
That's how we do it. Now this is the last chance for your standing method to see any use. We'll focus for now on Raiway Nakui though. I think he's about to top, and that will mean he's got 2 tops. And it will mean that Team Japan remain out in a clean lead. No problem at all. That's how you top.
Natsuki getting really close.
Yeah, could be about to see a second top on women's 2. Nai Mignon got it done. Can Natsuki Tani join her? Yes, she can. Creeped up nice and slow.
There's a lot of control through the shoulder girdle there. She really locked down on that right hand. That was impressive. Fingers look quite comfortable on that.
So top for her. So let's have a quick look at the scores. There's Vita Lucan and Tiasa Slemenzek of Team Slovenia, and I think that might be Mia Krampel as well. It's an awful lot of horsepower in one camera shot.
They really like to do their hairstyles up. It's quite good, isn't it?
Yeah, with their long nights here in Moscow, aren't they, when you finish competing? We're kind of out of the city.
Or even waiting in isolation before you start climbing.
Hannah Kudo again, bowing to the judges and the crowd, and Anthony Lessick out on men's 3.
Love the look of these slabs.
Yeah, real change of style here for men's 3. From the most dynamic of dynamic starts, they've got to creep across slowly.
Got to settle your energy back down and be a bit more controlled and precise whilst climbing.
Yeah, ditto for the women. I think these kind of boulders make the route setters nervous because it's really hard to judge whether you've got the level right because you've been trying this boulder for an hour or 2. These people have got 4 minutes to figure it out. Can they get the body position quickly? There are no handholds, by the way. There's nothing hidden that you can't quite pick up on the camera. There are no handholds on men's 3. Women's 3, some micro screw-ons.
One of those slabs, if you breathe too hard, you're going to blow yourself off the wall.
That's not an exaggeration. If your lungs puff
Quite
out,
literally.
that would be enough to spit you off. So, Anthony Lessig.
It is good having 2 slabs side by side and 2 jumps side by side.
You can see how tenuous it is. He's wondering if he's missed something. He hasn't. And there's a tiny screw-on hold there where Hannah's got her right foot.
Good for the thumb, bad for the fingers. Looks like she's trying to use the thumb hold almost. There you go. She's trying to undercling it.
You can also see just below the zone, about 30, 40 centimetres below it, there's another tiny screw-on for your feet. Which I think you can just see the screws reflecting in the light there. Just, let's say, 30 centimetres below the zone, yeah. Looks like a possum's eyes in the headlights. There's a good New Zealand reference for you.
Oh, yeah, people like to run possums over. I don't think that's very nice.
It's not very PC, that's for sure.
They're a pest, but yeah.
Ooh. That was
close there.
Yeah, definitely getting close. Creep up and then commit when you don't feel you can creep any further.
Route setters thought you had to do that quite static and controlled to the zone though there. They didn't think running or moving too fast would work in your favour.
I wonder if a combination of the two might work though, where you go slow and then when you just think, right, I can't go slow any further without falling, then you kind of get a move on.
Wow.
Anthony Lessig seems to like that move and he's desperate to get back on now. You can see him quickly chalking up. I think he feels he's had a breakthrough. Hanakudo.
He's got the
zone, yeah. Right
standing on the possum.
In place, there's the possum, yeah. For all those people sitting at home thinking, what is a possum? It's a rodent, a big rodent about the size of a cat in New Zealand.
Big, scary rodent.
And when you're driving in New Zealand, you often catch their eyes in the headlights.
Known to maul small children and break into your tents whilst you're camping.
Yeah, they're pretty nasty little things. Have a Google, you'll find it. So Anthony Lessig now on the men's 3.
Yeah, I think really committing and running that move is not going to help. You need to balance between those 2 further left green features and ease your way over to the bottom of that in cut in the wall, then go for the zone.
Yeah, I feel a bit sorry for Anthony Lessig. He clearly felt he'd made a breakthrough with the faster method, and now he's hit another stumbling block. Hanakudo safely up to the zone, and this time Anthony Lessig gets it. So he's going to get the zone. I'm pretty sure he'll get timed out before he can find the top. So he will.
I'll eat my words then.
How frustrating!
It's good that he got the zone though in the last 10 seconds or so.
Yeah, well I mentioned it earlier, the increasing importance of zones could be crucial.
It's the difference between a climber maybe having another attempt and choosing to save themselves for the next boulder.
Yutong Tsang of China and Thomas Podlan of Austria, the next 2 climbers out, men on the left, women on the right. There's Yutong Tsang. We will be back to China, of course, in about 2 months' time for Lead and Speed World Cups in Wujiang and Xiamen. Both very unusual venues, 2 of the more aesthetic IFSC venues, so Wujiang one right next to a lake and the Xiamen one.
Xiamen's got a nice wall, isn't it?
Yeah, it's right in the financial district of the city, so it's surrounded by
see the city lights,
skyscrapers.
right?
Yeah, it's great. It's great. The only problem with Xiamen is the weather. We got a typhoon last time we were there, which was pretty exciting.
I remember hearing about that.
Yeah, I basically spent 2 hours apologising because the competition would start and stop again for continuously. I think we had a cancelled women's semi. It was all a bit of a mess, but it's always exciting, Xiamen. It's always a fun place to go, so we're looking forward to that. Thomas Podlan now creeping across to the left.
Seems like he's following the intended beta.
And he's definitely getting...
crimping that wall. Close.
That looked, to me, that looked a bit of a half-hearted launch left. It was almost like trying it out.
Panic one.
Yeah, just kind of seeing what he could see, seeing what he could figure out. I don't think he ever was going to stick that with just his right hand. I guess
a rushed move, but that's
yeah,
fine.
I guess the theory is to catch the zone with the right hand and then palm down with the left.
Or even sort of Gaston between the 2.
Yeah, Interesting boulder, this men's 3. Anthony Lessick just couldn't get anywhere on it, and then I think had he had a bit more time, he could have topped it with another minute or so.
Zhang's making better work of this one than the previous.
Yeah, Hannah Kudo got to this point, but not much further. Yu Tong Tsang's got there. There's only 30 seconds to go. That can't be right.
It's gone fast, hasn't it?
Pretty sure we might have a clock. Yeah. Pretty sure we got a clock issue there. I don't think that is the time. Thomas Podollan hits the zone. Top half of that zone holds pretty good. He could ideally do with getting his right hand where his left currently is, I'd imagine. It would certainly make life a bit easier. There it is. And there's a tiny little thumb catch. You can see him just holding it in that indented section of the zone. Top for Thomas Podollan.
Oh yes, there's our clock's working now. I was thinking, did he top as he timed out? But no, we do have a minute left.
Yeah, we had a count. We must have had a dodgy clock.
Good stuff. Looks like a nice hold on top. Just checking with the judges if that was okay.
So I'm just looking. We also see a top from Yu Tong Tsang.
She's gone.
She is gone. She's not showing up as having topped on our scores. So there you can see it. Nai Mignon leading the way.
So did Yu Tong Tsang top?
I don't think she did. Strange, she disappeared early. Hannah Kudo, Yu Tong Tsang, who we just mentioned, Elena and Indiana making up the rest of the top 6. So 4 minutes about to start again. Indiana Chapman will be next out, and Kentaro Maeda. It's so hard to know which of these dozens of strong Japanese climbers is going to be the one that then becomes the next Tomoe Narasaki.
Yeah, that's the thing though, you know. You think you found it's like, wow, Tomoe's like one of the best climbers, and then soon enough Japan replaces them and it's like, oh, we've got another wonder child, or not a wonder child if they're an open, but yeah, they, like you said, they've got a never-ending supply of incredible climbers that you could think for a while would be the best in the world.
Well, Yuta, who we saw in the junior bouldering, he's been in one World Cup when he was 35th. He's never done a Youth World Championship. He almost made the podium in the junior bouldering.
It's quite impressive.
He came from nowhere.
It's crazy how much the results can vary between competition to competition. I mean, for example, Sean Bailey, he got a podium in America, yeah, and in China, I think he made semis. But yeah, he improved greatly. It was awesome seeing him climb.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's why it's one of the reasons it's so exciting to watch these Youth World Championships year in, year out. Is trying to spot the pattern, trying to spot which of these promising climbers then becomes a World Cup finalist level climber.
Some people make podiums and then next year they're low in semis.
Yeah,
I bet that's Henry. Oh no, there he is.
I'm not sure what the delay is here, why we're not seeing Indiana Chapman and Kentaro Maeda of Japan. Indiana Chapman, you can see there a couple of the Canadian team ready to cheer her on.
One of our route setters just there. He took us through the boulders.
Yeah, just giving all the beta away to his compatriot. Only kidding, only kidding. Presumably there's some sort of a technical problem here. We had yesterday a screw sheared in one of the boulders, which is not what you want to be happening.
It's funny you say that about the beta though. I've actually seen that in competitions before where people actually yell beta in a foreign language and they've changed it up. And most people don't realise it.
Yeah, I mean there is definite scope for that if you don't speak a commonly spoken European language.
I've thought too before, like what if you kind of made up code words for something, you know, if you're cheering like, go Sam, does that mean like left foot? You know, I'm not trying to cause any rule changes right now, but you know.
No, I mean...
I wonder if people do that.
Oh, I've certainly heard rumours that go on means, for example, go on means your beta is correct.
Yeah.
Keep trying, or that's it. Means change it up. You know, you do hear rumours that these kind of tactics are employed.
It's funny, where do you draw the line between that sort of thing, though, you know?
I think part of the difficulty, if you were to try and create a system like that, is, well, for a start, it's cheating, and
yeah, it's hard to define the line
cheating.
between.
But also, these boulders are so complex and the details are so small. I'm not sure that someone standing down the front of the stage is going to have much insight.
And it could be just as hard to pick out their voice from amongst the audience, and
yeah, I'm sure it has gone on and maybe does, but I'm sceptical how useful it would be.
South African coach there, Dylan Vogt, reading one of the boulders with the boys.
Apparently the judge is just checking a replay of something. I'm interested, perhaps this is Yutong Tsang. We saw her go...
Well, she disappeared rather early.
Yeah, we panned back to her.
Maybe she pulled a hold out the wall.
No longer there. Yeah, exactly. She doesn't look heavy enough to do that, but... are we going to check the time? I've just been told through my headphones. So perhaps she did top, but it was very tight on time. Either way, we've got a slight delay. If you're just tuning in, welcome to Moscow. This is day 6 of competition, I think.
Something like that.
Day 6 in the Big Brother house.
Yes.
Charlie Bosco and Sam Monday, very special guests from Team New Zealand, live from you in the Dynamo part of Moscow. This huge arena that housed the World Cup back in April as well. We're just next to the Dynamo Moscow Stadium. It's a pretty nice location. It's quiet. And,
it's a really good venue.
Yeah,
really
great
good
venue. The only problem is that the distractions, shall we say, of Moscow are a little bit far away, which for you athletes doesn't matter, but you know, for those of us who have a bit of free time in the evening.
Yes, yes. No, we haven't been adventuring out too much. We've visited Red Square and whatnot, but generally our focus is on the competition.
It is amazing. The city centre is amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is very cool. The Cathedral, St. Basil's, is just gorgeous.
Did you manage to go in?
No, we didn't go in. I think it was rather expensive, so we looked at that and chose to go in. We were going to go into the... what's the place called? The
Kremlin.
The Kremlin, yes. Mind blank for a second. But
Vladimir's house.
Yeah, Vlad's house. But the queue was sort of a few blocks long, so we chose not to.
Yeah, it's a shame. The queues have been pretty big. I was hoping to go into the Lenin's mausoleum. And
yeah, I want to see him.
But I've been to a mausoleum before, man. It was really, really weird.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to go to I'd like to see Lenin, but...
be strange looking at a dead person.
It was definitely a bit of a weird experience.
It's like an open casket funeral, though. It is kind of odd.
It was definitely one of the weirder experiences I've had in my life, but there we go. Don't think I'll be going back. But no, I would have liked to see Lenin. I was hoping to go into St. Basil's, but yeah, this time of year the queues are a bit too big, but it's still an amazing city, Moscow. It's been fun to be back here again after coming in April. We didn't have a lot of spare time in April. Had a little more time. The lead route setting team have discovered what they said is one of the best bars in the world.
Oh, I'm sure.
Which is next to the river, so I'm determined to check that out. I don't know what that involves. I'm slightly skeptical.
Next to the river.
I can see me being led astray, but we'll see.
Got to make sure you're ready for tomorrow, though.
Oh no, not tonight. At the end of the competition.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Good.
Yeah. That flight to Munich for the World Cup on Saturday could be a little taxing, though. We'll see. So I believe we're ready for the next climbers out.
Here we go. Oh, maybe not.
No,
something's going on.
That is not Indiana Chapman.
Goodbye.
That's Hannah Kudo. She's already climbed.
I think I'm hearing the venue MCs. It's possible that Yutong Chang is going again. They're saying something about China.
Apologies for the confusion here. We don't have really any more information than you do, other than I've been told it was something to do with time. That's about all I've got for you, I'm afraid.
This wall is so aesthetic, seriously. Especially this one.
I think this is
really
nicer
good
than the World Cup one to look at, maybe not to climb on.
Oh, the World Cup as in the one that's coloured white, red and blue?
Yeah.
Oh, I think I quite like the colours of that one, but I don't know, it's just a really, really cool wall. It looks good, there's plenty of viewing space. It's opened out like that. We don't have many gyms in New Zealand like that. I think anywhere, you know, the bouldering wall is just in a long big row as opposed to being in an enclosed space. It's good for spectators.
Yeah, so confusion's still reigning. We had Hannah Kudo came back out and was almost rugby tackled by 2 judges. Nearly made it onto the big hits reels. And she goes back into isolation.
Do we have an IFSC wipeout reel? I've seen a few like epic bouldering fail compilations on YouTube, but
Janja Garnbret went through a stage of having the most spectacular falls. I think it was last season. She had a number of
yeah, she looks like
ones.
she's committing to the fall, doesn't she?
Yeah, she goes to the fall. She also had one this year where she hit the belay and got the timer got wrong, and she hit the timer.
Managed to do that in Guangzhou in 2016. My mate and I, we managed to kick our belayers in the head. Not that I'm proud of kicking them in the head, but you know, it happened.
So yeah, still waiting. Apologies, we can't bring you any more information. We are live here in Moscow, and there is an as yet undefined technical incident. You know, you've been waiting a while when the spectators start having a kick around.
I remember back in New Zealand one time running a local competition for school kids. It happened like this, you know, we were waiting on a separate organisation to collate the results, and I was trying to think of ways to keep people entertained as I was the MC, and I ended up running a unicycling competition amongst everyone there. It was quite entertaining, and trying to think of different ways to pass the time. It's like, okay, we've still got another 10 minutes.
It is quite extraordinary, the things you manage to end up talking about when you've got a delay like this. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, IFSC viewers, but I'm not sure Lenin's mausoleum has ever been mentioned on the stream before.
Strange being at an open casket funeral. Oh.
So we've got Graham Alderson, our technical delegate here. I will grab a word with him and we'll find out what the problem was.
Everything is ready.
Yeah, so Graham just informed me that it was a problem with the timer. Been restarted now. So we've been told that I think it's Yutong Sang will get another 2 minutes. There she is, so she's back out, so that would explain why we couldn't quite figure out where she'd got to. She panned back to where she should have been with about 50 seconds to go, and she'd gone, but she wasn't showing up as having a top, so we were slightly confused.
And why Thomas Podolon was confused whether or not he was allowed that top.
This is Yutong Sang, not Indiana Chapman. Just ignore that. Should have been Indiana Chapman out next, but due to the timing issue, Yutong Sang came out. So here she is, back with 2 minutes on the clock, and the confusion somewhat sorted. It's a never-ending source of amazement to me how often we have clock problems.
Yeah, and timer problems and speed.
Yep, I've got one on my arm, I've got one in my pocket. They both work fine every time, but who am I to speculate? So here she goes on women's 3. She, as it stands, has got one top and all 3 zones. That wasn't the first time she'd been to the zone.
Trying to keep yourself in a good headspace when these little incidents happen and everything is probably quite a challenge as well, you know, staying hyped up enough to climb and warm enough and not knowing what's actually going on with the judges would be quite a confusing time.
You've got so long backstage in the finals, especially after an incident like this. It must be hard to actually stay warm enough.
Yeah, really depends on what's going on with the weather. In here it's actually not too bad. You do stay quite warm generally, so whereas if it was an outdoor venue it might be different.
So she's got 15 seconds to go. I think time could be her biggest enemy here rather than the moves themselves. These moves not that easy to do quickly.
You can do it, you can do it.
She's definitely got time. She was thinking about chalking up and then instead chose to go fast. That's a slight disappointing one for her. I think she probably thought she had more time than she had. She began to chalk up and then suddenly began to
And then she
run.
heard people probably cheering and she's like, I gotta do it!
That's a shame. Suddenly the boulder looks eminently toppable, though.
It's always toppable.
That's true. This was.
You could top that
lower
blank
down.
wall if you try hard enough, I reckon. There is a way. Ah, foot pop.
Yeah, I think that was rushing. She really
Yep,
launched
yep.
onto it. So now Indiana Chapman gets her shot.
Kentaro Maeda.
Kentaro Maeda makes his way out. Now, both these climbers had a much, much longer wait. Again, you mentioned the mentality. Tricky. Indiana Chapman's been sitting backstage thinking she was about a minute away from climbing. Suddenly she's had, I don't know how long it was. I mean, it passed very quickly with your amusing and erudite conversation. But for Indiana Chapman backstage,
But yeah, she would have been ready and warmed up, you know, she would have gone through all her different little rituals, beginning to climb, and then, nope, you don't get to climb.
one thing to keep an eye out, by the way, on women's 3, the rules in 2018 are that you have to control the starting handholds, and Yutong Tsang on her first attempt in her second rotation, if you like, to me it looked like she just kind of dabbed it with a finger, which is no longer a legal start. You've actually got to control it, so just keep an eye out on the start of women's 3, whether any of the women do get called back down for just an incorrect or illegal start.
I've seen it a couple of times in the competition where people haven't controlled the start holds and gone the way up the boulder and been a bit annoyed.
Yeah, the judges are normally pretty on it.
Yes.
Of course, the difficulty is control is...
Bit vague.
It's a verb, it's not a definite thing. It's
Subjective.
Yeah, exactly, it's completely subjective, so...
As long as the judges are being fair on all the competitors, I think it is fine.
As long as they're consistent with it. There is definitely scope for that rule to cause some problems. Indiana Chapman not really being caused any problems by this boulder on her second attempt. She's lining up the top, and she is finding a top. Indiana Chapman gets her first top on the board. She's the last of the 6 climbers to get to top, but it leaves her with a pretty handy score. 1 top 3 zones. Going on
That's
to
the first top of that boulder we've seen, haven't we?
Yeah, it is the first top of the boulder, and I have to say she didn't look like she found it especially difficult.
Canadian style, maybe.
Whatever it was, it worked nicely. I think that was the second attempt. Yeah, it's just come up on our screen. Second attempt that for her.
Kentaro just overbalanced just before when he was doing this. I think his feet were up a bit high and started leaning out from the wall.
And he nearly had the timing pretty good there. On the men's side of things, everybody got boulder 2, and Raiwe Nakui and Rei Kawamata got number 1, so they are the climbers you would think in the lead. They haven't, or in control of this final, I should say. They haven't attempted men's 3 just yet. One interesting little thing that's cropping up from the scores, Anthony Lessick of the USA, he's got all 3 zones, and it took him 19 attempts.
Far out.
So he burned through the attempts on number 2 and then also on number 3, and on number 3 he wasn't rewarded with a top. He did at least get the zone, but yeah, it took him 8 attempts to get number 2 and 8 attempts to get the zone on number 3, so if it does come down to attempts, he could be in a spot of bother. Now he's looking very solid out here, Kentaro, creepy out to the left. Again, I'm surprised.
He's trying with one hand there.
Yeah, I'm surprised he's going with one hand.
I think he needs to compress in there.
Especially when it's a side pull, it's at its best when you're over to the left. If you're
It's a bit ambitious.
if you're directly underneath it, it's not especially useful. This was the latest attempt. He's got himself nice and close.
Looks like he's almost trying to palm off that foothold to hold himself on there.
With 20 seconds to go, this will be an attempt on the zone only. So make that 10 seconds. He'll get timed out before he manages to top, but he might be able to get a zone out of this. He is able to get a zone out of it, but the buzzer sounds. Another 5 seconds he might have had that one. So perseverance paid off for him. He got a zone out of that one. No top, but he did get the zone.
Same thing with Yutong, realising you got a little bit of time left, committing for it, and your foot slides off. Must be gutting.
Yeah, and interestingly, he also took 8 attempts to get the zone. So both him and Anthony Lessick, 8 attempts to get that zone. So Thomas Podlan, as it stands, is leading the way. He's got 2 tops and 3 zones. Could all change though. Paul Zempt now makes his way out onto the mat. There's Nai Mignon, his compatriot. She is having an extremely good final, leading the way here. 2 tops on the 2 boulders she's been on so far. Got them both on her second go and flashed both the zones. So Nai Mignon looking pretty hopeful here in the women's side of things.
It's interesting watching these slabs, how important that hip flexibility and mobility is for bringing yourself in close to the wall.
Paul Gemt didn't look the most comfortable way of doing that move, but he stopped dead.
Never seen those shoes before.
Lining it up now, Paul Gemt. This could put him in a really, really strong position. He's just been quietly getting on with his work, and he's now got 2 tops and 3 zones. And perhaps another example of topping. If you were being very pedantic, I'm not sure whether it was the clear control was. He was kind of moving all the time on that top hole.
That's the thing. It's like, especially with some of those start holds, it's like, you know, I can stay on the wall with 3 hands. All I need to do is touch it. Am I not in control?
Oh, there we go, actually. I'll take that back.
It's pretty controlled.
Apologies, Paul. But, yeah,
was that a flash?
Yeah, just waiting for
second
it to come
attempt.
up. No, flash.
Flash,
Yeah.
wow.
I'm surprised how many climbers take even minor risks when they've basically already got it done. Though I've got to say, one of the best sports photos of all time is Michael Jordan with his back to the basket, the ball in the air, and the ball's on its way to the basket, and he's already got one hand in the air because he knows it's going to go in.
Can't say I've seen that one.
Oh, I love it. I love that confidence. But I wouldn't recommend anyone else to try it. Now Mignon now back up to the zone. Now if she can get this boulder done, she'll be in first climber with 3 tops, and she'll be not quite guaranteed a podium, but not too far off.
So much balance on those moves through the slab, body tension, so that you don't barn door out from the wall. Just here, you see how close she comes to actually swinging out when she gets her right foot up, just holding in. She nearly had that.
Interestingly, actually, I'm just looking at the scores. If Nai Mignon can find the top, she'll guarantee herself a place on the podium, because Hannah Kudo, Indiana Chapman, and Yutong Tsang have only got 1 top going on to the last boulder, so they wouldn't be able to catch her on 3. So she would guarantee herself a place on the podium if she can find the top. She's got 50 seconds to go. This boulder's only been topped by 1 climber. That was Indiana Chapman. She got it on her second go. Everybody else, including Nai Mignon, who's so far attempted it, has got at least a zone.
You can do it, mate. You can do it.
So here she goes again, 25 seconds to go. The nature of these moves, I have to say, means that I think time is going to be a factor.
I think she needs to slow down that last move, though. That's been her problem so far. Oh!
Yeah, slightly rush that move.
Yep. If she could just control it to that hole, she would put herself in a good position to move for that last one, but no such luck.
So she doesn't guarantee herself a podium just yet. I have to say it's looking very promising for a podium, but Nai Mignon will have to wait to be guaranteed a medal. So Elena Matiak, Nia Bluchkina out next, and Ray Kawamata, the next male climber out. Ray Kawamata could have 3 tops at the end of this rotation. Interestingly enough, again, that wouldn't guarantee him a podium. Still not enough. It's quite a lot of tops here in this men's Youth B final, live from Moscow. So nothing's going to be decided on the men's side until the final boulder. So Elena in front of her home crowd.
Do you think that really helps people? Being in front of lots of their own people, hearing them cheering on? Because I know certainly when I was doing speed and I had lots of people shouting at me, I felt incredible.
I would be inclined to say it does.
Yeah.
Statistics over the course of sport would suggest that home advantage is a real thing. On a slab, probably not. You just want everyone to be quiet.
Don't shout me off.
You just want them to turn the music and the MC off.
Yeah.
But no, I would say it's got to be. Look at Jan Hoyer in Munich last year.
Yeah, oh, that was
pretty epic, actually.
That was extraordinary. I was so excited watching that. So was Alex Magos.
Yeah, Alex Magos. Not quite finding the appropriate words for the moment would be the way to put it. One or two rather industrial.
Ray nearly had that. Industrial. Ray nearly had that. He just slid out with his right hand. Oh!
Yeah, quite amazing, really, because the right hand wasn't really doing anything.
No.
We nearly lost him. He wasted an attempt there, kind of rushing the start.
Yeah, Elena will have some advantages on this slab, being taller, but then she'll have to really control keeping close to the wall, moving through those two big circular screw-on feature thingies.
Yeah, I think the penultimate hole to the top, if she can get there, she then has an advantage. But
won't have to jump so much.
Yeah, but getting there she'll actually have a disadvantage. I think it's a good example of taller and smaller climbers kind of evening out over the course of, certainly over the course of a competition, and sometimes on one boulder. Ray back underway.
I think he just needs to slow down those feet just a little bit because he fell out just before C. Yeah.
He's getting himself pretty close, though.
He is. That is true. This could be a new way to do it. Nope.
Yeah, he's going up with the right hand. If you can just get something with the left, it's definitely possible to do it that way. So Elena Matiak-Irbluchkina is currently in 6th place. She could move herself up into a very provisional second. Look at the number of attempts. So she's still absolutely in the hunt, but she does really need to find the top here if she wants to bump herself back up the order. Both finals very, very tight.
You almost want to hold your breath on that move she's doing. It's so marginal.
And Ray, he's got himself in a bit of bother there, tried to move a bit too quickly.
You can do it, mate.
Perhaps a bit of inexperience, just needed to get himself a little more settled. Now he's done it. He's found the thumb catch, which he's using for an undercling, actually. And he finds a top, Ray Kawamata.
Awesome work.
Gets the top. So he becomes the first climber with 3 tops. He's topped all 3 boulders so far.
I believe Elena flashed the zone. She secured that already, but I don't think she's managed to get back there.
No, she is. It's not actually showing up that she's had the zone yet.
Oh dear.
So that's a real shame for her. She was in good shape after the first 2 boulders, but now just beginning to slip down the order slightly. So Ray Kawamata out on his own with 3 tops. But amazingly enough, he may not even make the podium. Because Thomas...
It's all still pretty close at the moment.
Thomas Podlan and Paul Gempt have got 2 tops, 3 zones, so they could end up with 3 tops, 4 zones, so they could overtake him. And
yeah, imagine if he gets nothing on the next one.
Yeah, Raiwa...
Still up in the air.
If he doesn't get anything and they top, those 2 top, then he could be knocked off the podium. Raiwa Nakui, who's coming out now, is, if he tops, going to take the lead. One thing that might come back to haunt Ray is how many attempts he took on that men's 3 that Raiwa is now attempted. Ray took 7 attempts to get the zone and the top.
It's a few.
Yeah, it's quite a few.
Yeah,
so his tops, his 3 tops took him 13 attempts, and his 3 zones took him 11. So if Raiwa can get this done in anything like quick style, he will take the lead.
Natsuki creeping away over, she's got it. So slow and controlled.
Interesting, just quickly on the men's side, everybody could still make the podium. It's very
That's
tight.
exciting.
It's great for us.
Wonder if they realise that.
Natsuki Tani could become the first female climber with 3 tops. Again, nothing would be guaranteed for her. She'd be guaranteed a podium, but she wouldn't be guaranteed a win. So this is shaping
exciting.
up. Yeah, it's shaping up very nicely, this Youth B Bouldering final. Charlie Bosco and Sam Monday of Team New Zealand here with you in Moscow. Good morning to those of you in Europe, and good job to those of you in North America who've dragged yourselves out of bed. At least you're being rewarded.
Good day, New Zealand.
Yeah, good.
Day? I think it's day.
Who knows? G'day, either way.
G'day.
So Natsuki Tani looking in pretty good shape here. We're about to see the second top of this boulder. Indiana Chapman got it done on her second go. Natsuki is just trying to figure out a way of using those feet. She's glad she took her chalk bag. She's able to rest and really have a think through these moves. Oh, and she's close, slapping for the top there.
It's interesting that, taking your chalk bag up, you often find yourself in a position sometimes and you think, oh, I could do with some chalk here because I found a good rest. But yeah, we've always been advised, always take your chalk bag up no matter what.
Raiwe Nakui did that move left very, very slowly and very, very effectively. He's now just got a slap for the top. It looks like he's in a slightly uncomfortable position, to say the least. He needs to find somewhere freeing up the right hand. Oh, and he'll be frustrated with that because he did a really good job on the moves left, did them really slowly across the slab. So whether both these climbers can find a top is absolutely crucial for the standings, the podium places, all the medals to be decided. And did he just miss that left foot? Did he not see it? Did he choose not to use it?
It's kind of sliding off of it almost. Couldn't quite find purchase.
Just less than 1 minute left for both these climbers. Natsuki Tani.
This will be her second attempt. She's really taking her time on it.
Yeah, she's really taking her time and been very, very close. Indiana Chapman made this last move look pretty easy, but it's clearly anything but.
Natsuki's quite a bit shorter though, I think, too.
She is. It just makes that a bit further. The problem is she's got her right foot on a pretty decent foothold. There's a higher foothold, but it's worse. So it's just making a judgment about whether you want the good one or the high one. We've got both climbers at the business end of their boulders right now, and Natsuki Tani is not going to get it done, and neither is Raiwe Nakui.
She'll really have to sprint for this last attempt.
Yeah, I think this might be reasonably optimistic. It was close that time, got a really good right hand on it, and they're not going to get it done, so that leaves things even more open. You can see there, Nai Menyor holds on to the lead on the women's side. Natsuki Tani and Hana Kudo, the two Japanese climbers, making up the rest of the provisional podium. Indiana Chapman's moved herself into contention with that top, and Yutong Tang, excuse me. In 5th place, Elena Matiak is in 6th place over on the men's side, Ray Kawamata. 3 tops for him, Thomas Podlat, Raiwe Nakui, the rest of the provisional podium, Paul Jem, Kentaro Maeda and Anthony Lessig. Very little decided on either side right now.
Oh, this is the one I wanted to see.
So this is the ice cream boulder on the men's 4. The 2 big volumes that dominate it really look like ice creams.
Good hand reps.
Cones.
It's a nice hold to start off with, but looks like he's struggling to get up high on that. Oh, good work.
Now there is a way of using this zone. Once you can get right to the top of the zone, you can kind of do a hand swap, and it just makes it a bit easier to hold.
I think you need to get your heel high for that top hold too.
This
Got
is
to roll over.
First attempt though from Anthony Lessig. Hana Kudo Meanwhile, she is currently in 3rd place. She could put herself in the lead with the top here. Anthony Lessig already on the zone as we just lose Hannah Kudo. Turning into a very tense final this. Yeah, if you just swap your left hand so it faces the other way, apparently it's just that bit easier to move off it. Not sure if he spotted it.
Oh man. Oh!
And he pops off. Let's see it again. This was the foot that gave way, presumably.
Yeah, I think using the midsole of your shoe like that, you either want to get a proper heel on that volume or use your toes and, yeah, roll over with your left hand facing the other way.
Shows you how tenuous it is. I think it was the right foot that popped, but it was a split second later the left started to go as well. You got no time to recover. Hannah Kudo now trying again on the women's 4. Came onto this boulder in 3rd place in the provisional standings, and her zone has not moved her up. She needs a top to move up the order, but a top, as I said, would put her in 1st place, and then she'd just have to get herself down the front and watch.
Must be so tense watching other people knowing it's going to depend on their results, how well you do.
Slaps to the top. She's done all she can. Hannah Kudo finds a top. She'll go into 1st place. Everybody down to 5th place could still win this competition on the women's side.
Elena could still podium?
No, Elena's in 6th.
Yeah.
So yeah, she could.
Yeah, she could podium though, couldn't she? Possibly.
Yeah, depending on attempts, it'd be tight.
Yes.
Yeah. But no, everyone down to 5th could win it. But as it is, Hannah Kudo leads the way. She's got 2 tops, 4 zones, and they required 3 and 6 attempts respectively.
You've got to make this last attempt count.
It's going to be very, very tight on the women's
Anthony.
side. No one's going to finish with 4 tops on the women's side. Anthony Lessig had a really good first attempt. Got the zone on his first go, but he's still not quite figured out how he's got to move right.
Doesn't look like Anthony's going to have enough time to make the top on this last attempt of his. But he's going to try. He's going to have to just race up this thing.
Yeah, he's going to get timed out, sadly for him, with 10 seconds to go. That means he's going to finish in 5th or 6th place. Good final from him. Persistence rewarded on men's 2. Got it on his 8th go.
Look at those brushes, they're going hard, good on them. They must be climbers because they know exactly where to brush. I've been to some competitions, they have no clue.
They're a strong bunch, the brushes. Really impressive setup here in Moscow. They organised this in 6 months.
Yeah, that's what I find crazy. It's good on them for, you know, taking on that challenge, eh?
When they stepped in, there was an original host city that decided against hosting it pretty much the last second.
They left it a bit long.
Slightly late. Moscow stepped in. Thanks to them. Yutong Sang now on Shine. There she is. Now amazingly. Depending, she actually can't win now because of attempts. She ended up missing out on attempts. So Yutong Sang can't win the competition, but it's still time. She can still make it onto the podium. So she'll need a top to progress in the rankings. Over on the men's side, Thomas Podelan is currently in 2nd place, could move himself into the lead with a top here. Very, very tight. Very rare you have so many climbers still in contention for a podium, let alone the win.
So Yutong can't quite make 1st though.
No, she can't. Attempts are going to count against her, sadly. But Thomas Podelan can still win the competition. Top here, particularly a top quickly, but the attempts being crucial. could come in very handy. He's got to be super careful though.
There are 2 holds further out on that top hold that will be good for matching on.
That is the method the route setters mentioned with the left hand. Just flick it round once you've got one hand on the top. He's read it perfectly. And he's found the top, Thomas Podlan. He's going to go into first place. He's got 3 tops, 4 zones. Let's have another look. Once he got this left foot up, you thought it was odds on. And that was a flash. So Thomas Podlan, he's flashed 2 boulders. He got another boulder on his second go, and he also got a 4th zone. So now it is getting tight at the top. So Yutong Tang gunning for a place on the podium here.
It's interesting, she's trying to look like she's almost trying to Gaston into the upside of that hold.
Thomas Podlan now leading the way on the men's side of things. Ray Kawamata still to come. It's in his hands. If he tops a boulder, it doesn't matter what anyone else does. He's going to win the competition. Over on the women's side, the climber we're currently watching, Yutong Tsang, is currently sitting in 4th place. A top here would move her up the order. The win is now gone for her, sadly. She's got just over a minute left. She's already got the zone on this boulder. She got it on her second go. Hana Kudo leads the way on the women's side. Nai Menyon, Natsuki Tani could both claim 3 tops, and that would put them 1 and 2. The order yet to be decided.
I think she'll need to lock that left arm out, or not. Prove wrong straight away.
One word from you. Creeping out left now, you can see the top hole beckoning. Hana Kudo got this one. And
Such a close attempt
yeah,
there.
Yutong Tsang, is she going to have another go? I think she is. I'm not sure that 20 seconds is enough to get it done though. Well, you never know. 5 seconds to go. She must have climbed that lower section incredibly quickly, and again she slaps to the top and is just about timed out.
Really admire people who jump back on for one last go, especially on the last boulder, you know, with the audience there and everything. It's cool for them to have one last little fight before you give up, instead of just thinking, it won't go.
So Indiana Chapman, because of what's now happened so far on women's 4, specifically because of Hana Kudo getting this one done, Indiana Chapman can't win the competition if she was to flash the boulder, which is the best she could possibly do. Obviously, she would end up with 2 tops and 4 zones, and she'd be level on that with Hana Kudo. She'd also be level on 3 attempts to get those tops, but she would miss out on first place as it stands because of attempts to zone. So both finals incredibly tight, not just between 1 or 2 climbers, but between pretty much the whole field on both sides. Yeah, you mentioned about how good the brushes are, pretty handy with the dustpan and brush as well.
Man, those mats are chalky running out there. You know, you clean your shoes before you start climbing, you run out and then they're covered in chalk again. You got to take your towel, your brush, or your little slippers or whatever you want to use out there.
You want a pair of the Jane Kim Crocs.
Oh, I've seen some dude with actually special La Sportiva made shoe covers. They look really cool.
Jane Kim's got some kind of big sandals she uses.
Could be able to steal some slippers from a hotel or something if you're travelling.
That's a good call.
Yeah.
Very disappointing lack of freebies in our hotel.
Yep.
So here is Kentaro Maeda. Just look at the scores. He's currently down in 6th place. A top here would put him onto the provisional podium. I have to say, it would seem highly unlikely that he would stay there, but he could move up the order. Top here will guarantee him at least 5th, and that would mean that Anthony Lessig was to finish 6th, and Indiana Chapman, as I mentioned, attempts are going to cost her, even if she does do the boulder. But a podium is still a possibility for Indiana. So Yutong Sang is not going to make the podium, sadly, who we just saw. She's down in 5th place. Very, very tight. 2:40 left for these climbers. This second half, particularly this boulder finals, just seems to have disappeared before our eyes. And it has felt like it's been in 2 halves after the technical incident with the clock.
Has gone rather quickly.
This was a replay, I assume. Yeah, it's flown by. Our electrifying mausoleum chat kept on gripped on the edge of their couch, I'd imagine, but the bouldering's been pretty special too.
People have been tuning in just to hear us talk.
Indiana Chapman, women's 4. And Tara Maeda, men's 4. So both climbers simultaneously on the zone. Gentaro really struggling to get much use out of the top of that volume. Thomas Podland was able to just work his hands up. It's micro differences in your body position. This was Indiana. See what she was trying to do.
Probably would have been better if she moved her feet through, but opted to try and clutch that one below. It didn't quite work.
So, Taro pulls on for another go. He's got just over a minute to go. Indiana Chapman looking longingly up at that boulder, just trying to figure out if there's something she hasn't spotted.
Gonna have to be a good last attempt from her.
Kentaro, by virtue of having got the zone, has now moved himself up into 5th. As I said, a top here would put him into a very provisional 3rd place. And I don't think he's going to get this one done. He just can't pinch the top of that volume. This is Indiana Chapman. And again, you're right, she creeps her feet out.
There we go, she swapped her feet this time. She's got it.
That's the way you do it. And there, the top beckons. Just one adjustment too many.
She wasn't using that red foot just there. I feel if she'd put her left foot up on there, it would have steadied her for it.
So 5 seconds goes and we start our 5-minute rotation now. Things really are getting serious. Nai Mignon comes out. She's currently got 2 tops and 3 zones. And crucially, she got those 2 tops and 3 zones, which is the same score as Natsuki Tani, in less attempts. So Nai Mignon, with a flash, can win the competition.
Whoa, love to see that. It reminds me of, which competition was it? Gabriel Moroni came down to that last boulder and it was his first ever win.
In Hachioji.
Yes, in Hachioji. That was such a good competition to watch.
Yeah, my ears still haven't quite recovered from Alex Kazanov screaming.
Had those similar cornucopia ice cream cone holds on it, but mega sized.
So Nai Mignon, a flash, will win it for her. She would end up with 3 tops, 4 zones, 5 attempts, and 4 for the zones, and nobody would catch her. So it's absolutely crucial for the French climber. Gold medal is available there. Sam Avazou of France won yesterday. Paul Gempt, meanwhile, he is not going to win the competition, but he can bump himself up onto the podium, and it's not going to be a flash from Nai Mignon. This is a possible flash from Paul Gempt, though. Creepiest way up the top of that zone hold. He's managing to find a way to use it. Get himself chalked up, and then he's got it creep over to the right. And the top hole beckons.
Come on, guys.
It's Boulder on the men's side, already been topped. Thomas Podland flashed it.
Nice knee bar there. He can compose himself, think about the last move.
Just by virtue of having got that zone, he's bumped himself up onto the provisional podium. This looks quite hopeful. Being a bit taller, I think, could be an advantage here. Nai Mignon is close on women's 4. Poljem throws his hands up as if to say, well, I don't know what else to do. Got 2 minutes to find something else.
Judging by that attempt, he might have one good attempt left in him.
So what he wants to do, once he's moved over to the right, is get that left hand spun round so it's facing the other way.
Almost looked like he caught the top of the wall on that one.
Yeah, judges might have something to say about that if he had done. It's very, very tense down the front. Nai Mignon could become the first climber with 3 tops. That would guarantee her at least second place. Natsuki Tani would come out with a lot of pressure on her. Flash would have won it for Nai. As it is, it will be in Natsuki Tani's hands if she does manage to top this. And she's trying to go through too quickly. You want to try and match that second to last volume.
Yep, you want to bring your feet through as well so you're not pulling with 2 left limbs, you know. Yeah, you do that, you sort of barn her out and you can't catch that last move.
Has she decided on a different method? I hope so, because there's definitely an easier way to do that move. Definitely feels pretty easy from the commentary box, an awful lot harder on the wall.
Yeah, I can crush that.
So Nai Mignon gunning here, possibly for the win. It may be enough for the win for Nai Mignon. Poljem is not going to get that one done.
Wow.
She finds the top with 10 seconds to go. She didn't match the second to last hole. She didn't move her feet across, but she found a way.
She looks stoked on that.
Yeah, Nai Mignon becomes the first climber with 3 tops. So Elena Matiak-Iabluchkina will be the next climber out, and Ray Kawamata in the men's. This was Poljem. Yeah, it's definitely not the easiest way to do that, but she had the contact strength when she got
those
there.
3 fingers slid down a little bit just as she hit it, but man, that's awesome. Oh, it's a funny picture. Здравствуйте.
So Elena comes out. She could potentially move herself up into the provisional podium places, but unlikely. She'll have to get this done pretty quickly. Ray Kawamata, meanwhile, has just come out onto men's 4. His maths is very, very simple. If he tops the boulder, he wins the competition. Doesn't matter if it takes him 100 attempts. Time might be an issue if he wants to take 100 attempts, but still, it doesn't matter. As long as he tops the boulder within 4 minutes, he's going to win the competition. And he's off to a pretty handy start.
He's looking strong.
He's used up a lot of attempts, particularly on boulder 3, so it needs to be a top. Zone won't cut it here for the win.
Look at that grip strength.
He's been awarded the zone. It's not enough to pass Thomas Podland.
That is incredible.
Ray Kawamata, the right hand has already landed. Just need to figure out something to do with his feet and his left hand, and he just pops.
He wasn't holding those holds on the top hold, was he?
No, that was the win there for Ray Kawamata. He'll have another go, but you can see the tiny screw-ons that Sam was talking about over to the right, and he opted not to use them. Interesting enough, he didn't even look at the judges to claim
No.
any sort of control. Instantly asked the brushes to get back on the job.
Yeah. That was pretty close though. If he could have held that for a second longer, they could have counted it possibly.
If he can't top this boulder, that means Thomas Podland is going to win the title. Raiway Nakui is currently down in 4th place, and he could end up with 3 tops, but he'd end up with too many attempts.
So it's either an Austrian win or a Japanese win.
That we do know. So Rei Kawamata absolutely cruises moves. He looks as if he's slightly rushing. It's just his climbing style. If you've watched him today and watched him in the semi-finals, he's just got that quick style, Tomoe Nagasaki-esque. He isn't rushing, it's just how he does things. So the right hand lands. Rei Kawamata for the win. The left hand lands. Rei Kawamata is the Youth B Bouldering champion. The judge raises their card. He's topped all 4 boulders. Nobody else can do it. Nobody else is going to catch him. Rei Kawamata, your Youth B Bouldering champion in Moscow 2018.
He looks relieved there.
Yeah, he'd never forgiven himself. If he
Man.
never got back
so
up there.
Close.
So Japan claims another medal in the bouldering. Raiway Nakui could bump himself up onto the podium and they could take another. As it stands, it's Rei Kawamata, Thomas Podland and Paul Gemt of France. The podium.
I've heard this song a few too many times this weekend.
Yeah, the venue DJs do tend to kind of have a reasonably short playlist that you see at IFSC events. Seen much of Elena. We were focusing on Rei Kawamata because the win was there for the taking.
Go on, mate, you can do it.
She's not going to move up the order unless she gets the top of the way. Zone won't move her up the order. And with 15 seconds to go, that will be that for Elena Matiaki of Muchkina. Finishes with 1 top and 2 zones in 6th place.
1 climber left on each then.
Yeah, so our women's podium already decided, but the order is not. And the win is still there for the taking for Natsuki Tani. If she can top this boulder quickly, she will have 3 tops and 4 zones. And she will win on number of attempts. Wow. By my maths, if she does it 2nd go, she'll win the competition.
Within 2 attempts.
Yeah, she's got 2 attempts at it.
Japanese will certainly be cheering her up. They're a good supportive team, honestly.
So Nai Mignon, just as Thomas Podland did a second ago, has now got a nervous few moments, just watching, waiting, seeing what her rival can do. Raiway Nakui now, and he could end up in 3rd place here. Paul Gemt also watching nervously to see if he's going to get a World Championship medal or if Raiway Nakui is going to deny him. Raiway Nakui lining this one up. This for a place on the podium. Right hand's there. Where's the left? There it is. Raiway Nakui will move up onto the podium. He takes 3rd place. So Rei Kawamata, your Youth B Bouldering champion here in Moscow. Thomas Podland 2nd. Raiway Nakui 3rd. We'll focus now on Natsuki Tani. We haven't seen how many attempts she's had. She's topped the boulder. Now we wait. She flashed the zone. We were focusing on the Raiway Nakui, excuse me.
And she is in complete control of that whole boulder by the looks of it.
And Natsuki Tani, that was a flash from her. She has won the competition. She moved ahead with Nai Mignon on the very last move, the very last piece of action here.
Hello, coach.
There's Rob Moore. God, Team New Zealand, you camera hogs.
Yeah, I know, right? Position ourselves strategically.
Amazing Youth B Boulder final. We had tension right until the end. Brilliant stuff. And there's the confirmation. Nai Mignon pipped at the final hurdle. It came down to attempts to top. Natsuki Tani takes the gold medal. Nai Mignon takes silver. And Hannah Kudo takes the bronze. Let's have a look over on the men's side. There you see it, Ray Kawamata, you can't get better than that. 4 tops, nobody else could manage it. He takes gold, Thomas Podlan takes silver, and Raiwei Nakui bronze. So gold and bronze going to Japan in both the men's and women's side. And everybody getting a top at some stage during the final.
Eddie, the photographer, hanging out with his home countryman.
Yeah, there he is in the red hat. And it's, yeah, brilliant start to the day's action. We've got an awful lot more for you today. At 3 o'clock local time, that is in 50 minutes, we've got the junior lead semi-finals, and then we've got the youth A lead semi-finals at 6 p.m. So lots of action. Oh, there's
groovy.
Lots of dad dancing for you.
Oh man, he's the lord of it.
And yeah. 6 p.m. we've got the youth A lead semi-finals. So 2 semi-finals. Juniors at 3, youth A at 6 o'clock.
Photoception.
So we're going to have, I'm told, a flower ceremony. It's kind of a scaled down podium, if you like, on the stage immediately after this, the conclusion of the final, which should be right now. So as I say, we are expecting to have a small ceremony, and then there'll be a main podium ceremony later, and you'll be able to see footage of that on our highlights, which we will put out this evening. So just to confirm, Ray Kawamata wins the men's youth bouldering. Took him a lot of attempts, 15 attempts for his 4 tops, but it just goes to show, keep on going. Thomas Podlan takes second, 3 tops and 4 zones, almost won himself, and also 3 tops and 4 zones. Raiwei Nakui just missed out on the silver medal due to attempts. Over on the women's side, Natsuki Tani, Nai Mignon, and Hannah Kudo, the podiumists. And as I say, we will have a small ceremony, and then there'll be the big podium ceremony, the full podium ceremony, if you like, a bit later on. We'll bring you that. We'll be producing highlights from this excellent Youth B Boulder final, and they'll be going on YouTube tonight.
A bit of violence going on.
Yeah, I know. It's a bit early for Kung Fu.
They've already discovered that bar you're talking about.
Yeah, that's it. I can't disclose its name, but I've not been. I've just been told it's a place to be seen in Moscow.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, we have the medal ceremony for the youth female bouldering.
And here we go with the awards ceremony. We'll just see our 3 winners introduced. Hannah Kudo, I suspect those are tears of sadness, not joy. I think she felt she might have been able to find the win. Nai Mignon in second place, have to feel slightly sorry for her. She was in first place. But this woman here, Natsuki Tani, did what was required. She flashed the last boulder, and she has won the Youth B Bouldering. We'll grab an interview with her later on. As I mentioned, we'll be producing some highlights for you later on. And we'll bring you interviews and podiums this evening.
Of the bronze medal representing Japan, Roi Nakui.
Ray Kawamata. Winning the men's competition in third place was Raiwe Nakui. There he is. Thomas Podland, second place for him, looks pretty happy with that. Again,
Chuffed.
yeah, almost won it, but he couldn't quite live with Ray Kawamata. Deserved winner, 4 tops, nobody else could match that. Ray Kawamata, your Youth B Bouldering champion.
So everybody welcome for official ceremony in the middle of the hall.
And so concludes the bouldering here in Moscow. It's been a fantastic event. Sam, what a final to join me for.
That was really good. It was a really good final, wasn't it?
Excellent. Thank you very much for
Thank
your
you.
time.
Thanks for having me.
And I will see you guys at home in about 45 minutes for the Junior Lead semi-final. Look forward to seeing you then.